Welcome to Flipped Math Lesson 13 for the 5th grade. And today we're going to look at two different concepts. The first one is we're going to look at a basis for where multiplication comes from by seeing multiplication as repeated addition. And then we're also going to talk about adding and subtracting money today. As we look at the picture on the screen, you can see that there are a number of smiley faces. And the question that could come is, how are you going to get a total for the number of smiley faces? And you could sit there and you could count them one at a time, and it's going to take a while because you got to do that individually. Now some people might say, well, okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and so I could write that as a very long addition problem, and we could add that together through grouping to know that's 10 and that's 10 plus another 5. So we got 10 plus 10 equals 20 plus another 5, which gives us 25, and get that answer. But as we see, since we have 5 groups of 5, we can make this even simpler by adding in multiplication, because 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, in other words 5 5s, is the same as 5 times 5, which we figure to be 25. And so our first idea that we look at is being able to take a picture and translate it, and also understanding why multiplication works the way it does. Understanding that 5 times 5 is the same as adding this group of numbers together to get 25. And so that's our first concept for this lesson. Second concept for this lesson is adding and subtracting money. And adding and subtracting money can be relatively easy as long as we take the time to make sure that our decimal place within our money is lined up. And so with the problem here on the screen, we see that the decimal points are all lined up, which means our place values are all lined up. And once we have that situation, then we can just add, right? We can put our decimal place straight down, and then I can do 5 plus 2, which is 7, plus 5 gives me a 12. So 2 goes down, 1 goes up, and then I can add this way. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 6 is 14, 4 goes down, 1 goes up, and once again 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 0 is $10.42. And my decimal place got a little out of place there, as I wrote a little bit larger. But we can see that working. Same is true when it comes to subtraction. Is once again we need to line up our decimals, and we got to make sure that the bigger number is on the top. And so as these two line up, we have our decimal places. Decimal can go straight down, and then we can start in the far right column and start subtracting. So 5 minus 5 gives us 0. 9 minus 7 gives us 2, and then 6 minus 3 gives us 3. And so we have this subtraction problem of $6.95 minus $3.75 gives us $3.20. Now these problems are laid out for us real nice, but sometimes it gets a little more complicated. Here we have a situation where Mr. J purchased 4 souvenirs that cost the following amounts: $7, $4.25, $20, and 45 cents. And the question that we're looking to answer is, how much did Mr. J spend? And so as we look at these numbers in front of us, what we need to do is we need to take these numbers and we need to arrange them in order so that their decimal places show up. All right. Now the first thing we see is that we have $7, but there's no decimal place. And so we can put that decimal in there and realize that $7 is the same as 7.00. And once we've done that, now we can much easier plug in our other numbers and start lining things up. Once again, we get to the 20, and we need to add that 0.00 so we can see all the values, and then we have our final number just like that. And we're going to add all this together. And so as we start grouping, 0 plus 5 is 5, plus 0 is 5. And so we keep bringing this 5 down. So 5 plus 5 gives us 10. So 0 goes down, 1 goes up. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 0 is 3. And then 3 plus 4 is 7. Our decimal goes straight down. And then 7 plus 4 gives us 11 plus 0, 0. So 1 goes down, and I'm going to throw the 1 right there so we're not confusing with the money signs. And we carry that 1 into the tens place, which is going to add with the 2, which gives us 3. And so we have $31.70 for an answer. So we see how those things line up real nice. Okay. If we take this answer, we can build in subtraction also into a problem like this. If Mr. J brought $50 with him on his trip, how much money did he have left? So if we take this number from our previous problem, being the fact that that's how much he spent, and now we know that this is how much he brought, we can create a subtraction problem by putting our larger number on top, and then what went away. So we have a beginning amount, some went away, and now we can subtract these to get what's left over. And so we start subtracting. 0 and 0 are going to give us 0. Now we have 0 into 7. That can't be done, so we're going to borrow. Of course, can't borrow from a 0, so we got to go all the way to 5. And my words are in the way, but we give it that 4 there, which makes this a 10. But then when, of course, we have to borrow from that 10, so that becomes 9. But now this becomes 10 here. And so our 10 minus 7 gives us a 3. Decimal place, of course, goes straight down. Now we got to go all the way up here to this 9 minus the 1. It's going to give us the 8. And then our 4 minus the 3 is going to give us the 1. And so Mr. J has $18.30 left over. And so as we take a quick review of this lesson, we can see that when it comes to money, the important thing is making sure that those decimals are lined up. With subtraction, we have our larger number at the top. And of course, if we get numbers like 20, we understand that these are the same values. Looking back at this, of course, we have that connection between math in addition and math and multiplication, and how they are connected to get us the same answer. Then I will leave you with this sample problem that you can work on, practice working with some of these ideas for next time. That is Math Lesson 13.